everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the micropod that is Love Island. If you haven't caught up on the first episode, you don't need to. It was really just full of useless information about contestants and what we thought of them. However, it's quite funny, so we do say so ourselves. So enjoy that on All Good Podcasts. But we are here to cover episodes 10 to 16 of this new season of Love Island. So I think we're only about 3 or 4 episodes now behind real time. We'll never really be up to date again.
Yeah, I think this is only, I think we're 4 episodes behind England at this point, which we'll catch up on.
Perfect. So the format's pretty simple. You've got 2 middle-aged women critiquing 20-something beautiful people looking for love on an island in Spain. It's really what the world's been after this whole time, crying out for it. But here we are, living the life fantastic. Today we're going to go, so last episode we went literally... we just went through contestants and we kind of made some predictions on a couple of those of relationships, and boy, do we have something to talk about today. So we might kick off because we did actually cover 10 in the last episode. So we're actually going to kick off on 11. So I'll do a quick recap of the general synopsis of what happened in the episode, and maybe we can touch on any of the juicy, spicy bits, and then generally our feelings on it. So episode 11... Ronnie, Jess, and Harriet's love triangle continues to cause confusion in the villa. Samantha and Joey have their first date, and it's not long before the islanders get a text. So, I'll probably start with the love triangle. I don't get it. I'm so confused.
It's like a love square almost now, isn't it? Triangle squares.
I don't know.
Competing for Ronnie.
Yeah, there's something about him that feels very harmless. As in, he definitely doesn't come across as some calculating player, right? He kind of, well, this is my 2 cents. He comes across as he's almost as surprised as we are. And he's I'm just enjoying.
He's just going with it.
And he genuinely is a kid in a candy store. He doesn't know. You know how when your mom's you must pick one thing. You can't have 2 things. You must only have one thing. And you're oh, but I just really like the other thing.
But what I thought was really funny was when the other boys were talking about Ronnie. And they were doing an impression of him, oh, just 3 more girls to kiss. But that's like the kid in the candy store. Don't pick one. No, can't pick one. Must try them all.
Yes. Must sample. Yeah. You remember Woolworths used to have the pick and mix, and you'd always just have a little taste.
I mean, we'll get on to pick and mix soon, I'm sure.
We will.
I have feelings about the pick and mix.
Yeah. And then Sam and Joey went on their first date. Well, that was awkward, wasn't it?
I really like Sam.
Did you?
I really like Sam. I don't say did.
No. Of course you do.
I felt for her. She clearly put. I think there was, if Joey hadn't been someone who was already famous going in, and was just Joey that nobody knew, I think they probably would have stood a bit of a better chance. But I think the fact that he was Joey Essex, I think played into her insecurity. She was every girl in here is going to want him as soon as they come in. Because he already obviously had a reputation. He was well known. He's a good looking guy. He'd been on TV, has some success and wealth behind him. And so I think she was naturally insecure from the get-go. Sort of off the wrong foot, you know? Whereas if I think they were just 2 people, might have had more of a chance.
I agree. I think what the sad thing is, I think they were probably friends. I think they were friends who had that little bit of a sexual connection, but I just think if they had just acknowledged that actually they're just mates, and I think she saw him as the ticket to the end. Joey's a doofus. I think Joey's a bit like Ronnie in that he's a kid in a candy store and he doesn't really know what he's doing. Like, again, he doesn't really come across as being particularly calculated, or I don't know if he knows
not
how
at
to
all.
play a game. I think he just shows up and sees where the cards land, really.
He also doesn't strike me as 10 years older than the other boys, you know?
No. He doesn't look it
Like, he's
either.
not coming across as like, he doesn't look it, but he's not coming across as like very mature.
No.
Like, sense, bit
I
kid
feel
in
like
a candy
like
shop.
Joey Essex is going to be exactly like that when he's like 88. Don't you think?
I like
Okay, so the episode ended. So that brings us
bombshells.
episode 12. And episode 12 is officially the last week. The last episode of the second week. And there was, of course, a recoupling, and there was the Harriet, Jess, Ronnie love triangle, and of course Harriet. Am I right? Did Harriet? Yeah, Harriet chose Ronnie,
And Jess chose Sean. He'd made a bit of so the recoupling seemed to sort things. I think Harriet was happy to finally be in a couple with Ronnie.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Ronnie didn't know how to feel about any of it. He's a lovable puppy. It's like, are you going to feed me now? I love you the most. There's Tiffany. Oh my God, the guy's name's gone
And
clear.
Will 1L.
Will, 1L. Don't, not 2 L's, guys. Come on.
So
It's
Will 1L.
And it comes to light as they enter the villa that that Joey Essex and Miss Grace already know each other intimately from a previous life. So it is my favourite part of Love Island when they do put an X in the villa. And it was so clear straight out the gate that he is still completely infatuated with her. Completely infatuated.
He looked giddy.
Giddy. Like a 14-year-old. She was she was interesting. I found she was quite quiet, like coming in. I think you could sort of tell with her that she wasn't really sure how it was going to go, or would there still be something there? So I found her to be quite quiet that first little bit when they walked in. I did like her though, and she definitely came across as someone who was like, I really don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that girl. So how do we do this in a way? Like, even when
the hideaway.
It's not this episode, but like when we get to that episode where they were talking about the hideaway, you could really see she was like super conflicted about it. And I really liked her. I thought she was lovely. Tiffany.
Yeah.
She's constantly on. Does that make any sense? She's constantly in character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the slightly ditzy,
slightly like
dirty. Yeah, so that was 14. So 14 they played the beer pong, and now I have a few issues with it, and we sort of touched on it last time. And I wanted to raise it again. I'm finding this series a lot more sexually charged in its tone than any other series. Now, I know there's some sort of irony in that. It's 20-somethings in a villa in Spain. But it's almost like the producers are trying to artificially create something. They've always played those games. They've always played like the beer pongs and all of that. But a lot of the dares or the things that you had to do, they were like romantic in nature. But I found this to be like the threesome kiss.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
But why?
I was sat watching it again as a 40-year-old going, how does that even work? And if it does work, how is that even enjoyable? And a lot of bashing and angles and not like, I just thought that was.
Yeah, I'm just going to park that as an opinion. Cool. Episode 14, brace yourself.
The sleepover.
It's week 3 in the villa. The temperature is rising. Grace's arrival creates some distance between Sam and Joey, and the new arrivals make a big decision on who they're going to take to a sleepover. Now, they definitely did not call that Casa Amor. Did you notice that?
They didn't.
Were very clear.
I reckon that is going to be the Casa Amor house.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. But they were very clear that it isn't. They just said it was a sleepover. Now, our friend Grace chose Joey. Surprise, surprise. Tiffany chose Ronnie. and the wonderful Will chose Uma, which I didn't see that one coming. I thought he was
going to pick
choose
Jess. Yeah.
So so they all go off to the sleepover, and obviously lots of repercussions. Maybe we'll start with the repercussions in the main villa.
So I think Sam gave up immediately, so she just sort of, like, before I think even they'd announced the sleepover, she was like, I'm on the daybed. Joey even came out and was like, what are you doing?
She did that after the beer pong. Remember?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? And she was just like, no, you clearly like her. I think she knew, but at the same time, I don't think she needed to push him away immediately.
Yeah.
But regardless, she was going to get hurt, I think. Is that what she was sort of saying? So she was like, actually, I'm going to protect myself immediately, like, right now. Which, obviously made me feel for her. But Sam, yeah. The sleepover had the biggest repercussions for Sam.
Yeah. I think I was quite surprised by Jess's reactions as well, because given that she'd kind of made that big declaration and gone and recoupled with Sean, it felt a little bit inflated that, like, oh, there's another one. And I really dislike Jess. She's really starting to grate on me in the way that she approaches things and, like, deals with certain situations.
I might feel more warm towards her than you.
Okay, that's fair.
I think she strikes me as the most natural looking as well.
I think her reaction to situations leaves me a little bit lacking.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am inclined to think she's stringing Sean along a little bit.
Completely. She's got absolutely no interest in Sean whatsoever.
Just to sort of stay in. She's a bit icy.
She is. And also she likes the conflict.
Yeah.
She loves the conflict. We'll come on to talk about, when she hears what's been said to Sean. This is a bit later on. Maybe that's not. Maybe I've gone.
No, it is. I saw it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't like that. I like Ronnie. I like him,
but I find him fascinating.
He's a great catalyst in the house. Like, like the crazy all just rotates around Ronnie. I'm like, well played, boy.
Very little effect on Ronnie.
He always strikes me as that person. You meet them and you're kind of like, they just wake up one day and go, yeah, I think I'm just gonna get married now, and then they just marry the next one. I felt like my brain cells died. And then I think the big thing was you could just feel it was palpable.
Yeah.
How much Grace and Joey were like zinging off each other, and like the sexual chemistry and the romantic chemistry.
But also, I thought the sexual chemistry was actually quite sweet. It wasn't like overtly gross, like the beer pong style thing. It was actually that you could. I think they really actually care about each other, which made it nicer too. I'm Team Grace and Joey.
I am as well. And I think they had like really respectful conversations about Samantha as well, which I really liked.
Respectful. And I think this kind of situation has been done in the past with Love Island with way less respect.
Yeah. And I think it was mutual too. It really didn't feel like it was just Grace not wanting to upset the girls or break girl code. I think Joey was wanting to move forward and try and find a line in the sand so that, anyway, yeah, I liked it.
I mean, you see him when he comes back, doesn't he? He spends like the day trying to talk to Sam.
Yeah.
Who does not want to speak to him. Fair enough, personal boundaries, but he is trying repeatedly to find times to talk to her because he wants to be honest with her.
Totally. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly, but I would like that minus the mushroom. And then of course we've got the deeply boring Uma and Will, who I just don't know. I just don't really have anything to say. They're just. She's not really in it. She's looking for anything to stick around. He doesn't know what he wants.
He strikes me as well as someone who's coming and being like, I'm the Love Island bombshell. I'm going to behave like a bombshell. And they're probably coached, aren't they, before they go in? Like, this is what you need to do. Like,
I never really thought about that, but yeah, probably.
yeah. And but I think you're right. I think sometimes, like, if we've got nothing to say about them, then they're a little bit
Really sad about Uma. I really did think that she was going to have. I thought she was going to be a big, bubbly personality. She was going to get the girls riled and like bring them all together because they're like in quite cliquey groups.
than I think any other series that I've really seen. Yeah.
So episode 15, they end up coming back to the villa, but while the team have been away, Mimi has a word to Kieran and says, like, this has got back to me, the Grace thing, and you need to talk to Nicole. And so he confesses that. Harriet starts to lose hope with Ronnie. Does she? And Joey attempts to clear the air with Sam, like you said. But yeah, I found this episode, it was a relatively just uncomfortable episode because it felt like the whole house was in like cliques in corners.
Yeah.
Talking about each other. The other thing I'm hating about this series is the girls listening in to other people's conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happened a lot this episode where they were pretending to be talking to each other, but actually they were listening to someone else's conversation. And I'm like, that's yucky. No matter which way you cut that mustard, that's just not nice behavior.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're told to do that?
I think they know that if the more information they have, the more drama they cause, the more airtime they'll get, the more likely they are to stay, right?
Oh, there's definitely some that know the airtime game.
And some play it very well.
And some that could do with learning a little airtime game.
Yes. And Omar could, as much as I the chairwoman of his fan club, like, he needs to learn an airtime game because, like, he's lovely, but he is going to get forgotten.
I think there's going to be someone who's going to come in that's going to be... Anyone who comes in's got to be, like, looking, like, going for him, like...
Yeah.
And I think that might... And I think there's so much potential with him.
Yeah.
Because he is a good-looking, nice, clearly intelligent guy who I think is in there probably for the right reasons. And I don't think all of them are necessarily in there for the right reasons, but I feel like he is in there for the right reasons.
I agree. And I think if he gets it right and someone comes in and that's his storyline can be built up a bit bigger. Yeah, and Joey spends the whole day trying to talk to Sam, who just won't talk to him. And that was where I was like, I'm out, Sam. Like,
yeah.
Just freaking talk. Like, just have a conversation. It's not... Anyway. And that brings us to episode 16. The recoupling.
Man, was I expecting it? I think the producers played a blinder there because I thought they went, this is the exact right. I like to think that they're quite fluid and they watch what's going on in the villa before deciding this is when the recouple. And I think that was a banger of a time to decide we're getting these guys to recouple.
I agree. I think it was also interesting to let the bombshells pick first because I think that took a few people out of the equation early doors, and then unfortunately also put pressure on other people like Omar to decide who the friendship couple he wanted to be in was. I do think that Sam did herself no favors that day though, because I think she was just so standoffish about everything that it would have been really hard for Omar to be like, well, I don't really know you and I do know Jess, and Jess makes a real point to like talk to us.
I think this is some of the problems that maybe Sam had. Or some of the girls and guys are like, people have done well when they haven't had a romantic connection because they had established friendships with the opposite sex in there. And I'm not getting many vibes between of friendships between too many friendships really between. I would say Harriet really strikes me as the one who's probably better friends with some of the guys.
I think interestingly, her and Sean are developing quite a sweet relationship, not in a romantic way, but in like two people who are a bit lost in there now.
Yeah.
And I think Sean's been played a little bit.
Well, Sean picked Harriet, didn't he?
Yes.
Cut this bit while we figure it out. Sean picked Harriet. Omar picked Jess.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Sam was left. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's quite a nice friendship that's forming. And Ronnie's probably another one, right, who's playing a good game because he's not going to get kicked out of the villa, because I think he is really nice. Hey, he is super friendly to the girls, and so I do think like he'll get saved no matter what, even if his love triangle gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's glass, sweetheart. Don't touch that.
Because
but it's like I said,
it's not nasty, you know.
It's not nasty. That's exactly it. That's the thing, and that's like he's smart like that, right? Because he's still friendly. He's supporting everybody. He's giving advice to some of the girls there. So yeah, I think he's good. The only couple we haven't really talked about, and I can't quite work them out, is Ao and Mimi.
Yeah. They were my favourites right off the bat. When we first episode, I was like, those two.
I still don't think they're right for each other. I still think that they both need someone else. And I think probably more so Mimi. Like, she is a smart girl. Like, she's a lovely girl. She's a girl's girl. And she's very kind and all that. So I think, yeah, she is, isn't she? I'd like to see her find someone who's a bit more settled.
I think they too will be one that you see go to Castlemore and both pick other people.
Yes, I agree. I think they'll string this out for a good long while yet. Because again, like, better the devil you know in that scenario. So yeah, not sure about them. We don't really. There is kind of no other couples. I don't think we've got the friendship couple in Sean and Harriet. They've been pretty clear that it is a friendship.
Yeah. Nicole and Kieran are closed off.
Yeah, Nicole and Kieran closed off, boring. Probably gonna.
Joey and Grace, I reckon I think there's a good chance if I was going early predictions to see them in the final.
They're a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Absolute shoo-in. Unless something crazy happens in between. And then got another friendship couple in Jess and Omar. Yeah, I
want someone for Omar.
Yeah, same.
1L and Uma.
No, it's going nowhere. No. Like, even she said she doesn't even, like, she's not even ready to kiss him.
No. The big thing.
So obviously we just talked about all of the couples, and then of course our friend Samantha is left
single,
just thrown to the side, and she exits angry.
But they were waiting for that text, because obviously sometimes when it was Mimi, it was like Omar's waiting to take you on a date, and obviously that was a chance for something quite dramatic to happen.
I do think Samantha's exit could have been a lot more dignified than it was. I think if she opened her eyes and saw, this is motherhood, opened her eyes and saw Joey and Grace together, she would realize really quickly that that's real.
Yeah.
And I think for her, it would have been a much better outcome for her to exit, to say, look, I can see that this is real. It is, like, sure, I'm collateral damage of it, but I'm really happy for you guys and wish you all the best. I think her exit, which was like, it was all effed and I hate, my time here was awful. And I was like, you've had 2 days of tough. You had 2 weeks of easy going. It's just a bit dramatic. I don't know. I don't think the villa's particularly gonna miss her. I think we'll give it a day and I think everyone will crack on with life.
Yeah, but I mean, I was endeared to her. I did like her because I thought she was quite real. Like I said, the one who would sit there and stuff a plate of pastries and wasn't always in high heels. Wasn't always completely made up.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike her. I just always got the feeling that she was playing that I'm excited to be in The Only Way is Essex, as opposed to I'm excited to be
Yeah.
I'm excited to have met this person who I think might actually be something real. It always never came across that way. So
Agree.
that's it. So we're all caught up to episode 16, and we're going to crack on with this next week's worth of episodes, which look like they're going to be pretty good, I have to say. You did say it, Sarah. It is a show and it's a grower, not a shower. Is old Love Island
getting better? Not surprisingly, getting better.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks, Seba, for coming along with me on the micropod journey.
I'm way better at this than the books.
But it is still all to play for at Love Island. Like, we're still only in week 3, so we've got a good long way to go. So come with us on the journey, guys. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We are part 2 _book club at Instagram and part 2 book club on TikTok. Search for part 2 book club on any of the major podcast platforms. This particular micropod has a different logo. It's bright pink. You can't miss it, but do check out all our other podcasts, and we've got a brand new episode over on part 2 book club proper, also dropping hopefully at the end of this week, all about midlife balance. But for now, love you.
Enjoy your pasty.
Love Island. One day we'll have to work out how maybe for the finale, we'll need to work out how we can both be drinking wine and it not be inappropriate.
Well,
Your time is like 10 o'clock my time, so maybe we'll try and do that.
There we go. That looks like
make it a Saturday or a Sunday, and then you can have a wine and I can have a wine, or because I
12
feel like
o'clock.
it would be a better podcast. Why?
Get louder and louder as we go through.
Take care. Love you.
All right. Love you. I'm off for a run now.
Oh, you're a running